Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a different version of the vlog, and this is long overdue, but guys, this is going to be a Q&A, and again, this has been a long overdue video that needs to get in the books, so we're sitting down and we're doing it today, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, now most of the questions are going to be dumpster diving related because I did ask you, actually, it's been a few months ago, but there is a giveaway during this Q&A, and I'm getting to the questions right now, but then again, I will pick a winner at the end. Flat rate priority box with a bunch of stuff that I found dumpster diving and stuff around the house. Might even be a few things I've reviewed. I do not remember, honestly. It's been a few months. I just jammed a whole priority shipping box full of goodies, and again, it was going to be for a US winner. Unfortunately, because it's flat rate shipping, they let you just pack a bunch of stuff in there, like up to like 70 something pounds in a box, and I mean, obviously I didn't pack that much, but anyway, we're going to get to that in just a little bit, guys. So let's dive right on in. We're going to start with a few dumpster diving questions. This was season 4, episode 11. You guys asked questions under the comments section, and we'll do this again. Don't worry about that. So without further ado, let's get on into the first question. And this is by Rush's Rush. This was 2 months ago. Forgive me, guys, 2 months ago. Question is, I wonder if you ever pick something up just to donate it, like to Goodwill or Salvation Army. Also, do you own garage sales? Maybe that's a twofer, but still curious. Okay, like, do I have garage sales? I don't own any garage sales, but I do have garage sales, or I did. So when I first got married, I was thirsty for some extra cash and just getting rid of all my stuff. So when I moved out of my bachelor pad, I wish I could have done it differently, but I literally stripped my roommates of pretty much everything. I mean, they had like a couch and some dishes, but like pretty much a lot of the stuff, like 90% of stuff like in the kitchen, dining room, like that was all stuff that I owned. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm young, I just got married, I need cash, which we did, but like I Craigslisted like everything. So I pretty much left them with nothing. They didn't even have a TV. If I could do it all over again, I would just leave that stuff minus the projector and screen, because that was awesome in surround sound, but I would have left them the couches, would have left them all that. But anyway, make a long story short, I did have a bunch of garage sales I think my honeymoon, to save up some money for that and all that fun stuff. So my dad actually contributed to a garage sale as well, put out stuff of his own, sold it, and put that money towards our honeymoon. So thank you, Mom and Pop, for that. But to also answer your twofer, so yes, I did have garage sales. Now I haven't had a garage sale in probably 4 years or so. It's just too hard, because where I am here, they do have community garage sales, and it just doesn't work out quite like where my mom and dad live. They live in a lot more blue-collar workers where, you know, people actually do garage sales around that area. They do around here, just not as much as over where they are there. So it's a lot more beneficial to do that. It just takes a long time to make the signs and to drive a whole carload over there and then go to Goodwill after if you don't sell it, or think about taking it back. Anyway, sorry for the long drawn out answer there, but just wanted to answer that one. So have you ever picked up something just to donate it? Yes, absolutely. There's things that I find where I'm like, you know what, I don't want it, probably can't sell, but I definitely don't want to see it go into a recycle, get crushed up. Someone's going to buy this, so I've taken a few items here and there for Salvation Army and Goodwill. Unfortunately, I don't really donate to Salvation Army. I donate to Goodwill because the drop-off box is literally 5 minutes down the street, open 24 hours a day. It's a drop box inside the grocery store parking lot, so it just makes it so convenient for me to drop off 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, next question is by William Griffith. And again, this was 2 months ago. And his question is, have the police ever stopped you just to see what's going on? And do they give you a hard time about it? Or they just have more important things to worry about than dumpster diver? Thanks. Absolutely. I've been caught one time, and I believe that was in episode 3 of season 5. Episode 3 of season 5. This was actually just recently, so check out season 5, episode 3. Yes, it should be that one. And then I also vlog about it, but the full story is on episode 3, season 5. So anyway, I was literally shining my light inside the can. There were beautiful leather chairs in the walkway. Was shining my flashlight in the can, heard air conditioning, heard a fan, because it is summertime here, and I looked up, and just out of the corner of my eye, I saw a white SUV. And immediately, I thought it was security because they have white SUVs as well. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get shooed out of here. I look up and I see the stripe of the city police. And I was like, oh no. So the best thing you can do in that situation, I wasn't wearing a cutoff shirt like this. I actually looked appropriate, had a nice, not a nice shirt on, but a, normal sleeve shirt. Didn't have a backwards cap on or anything like that. And so literally I just turned the flashlight off, looked at him, waved at him and said, hello, how are you? And his immediate reaction, very friendly, my interaction with him. And then he just interacted back, hey, what you doing? Looking for something? Because obviously I'm shining a flashlight. And I just said, hey, I'm looking at these beautiful leather chairs sitting right here. Someone threw away. And his reaction was literally like this. Oh, okay. And just moved on forward. I then reversed, which you'll see on camera, and then got out of there, and I just left that complex. That was my, I had about 75% of the complex left. I have a feeling it was going to be a hot night. I didn't even go to the other complexes in that surrounding area. I just went straight into the other city to go dive after that. Didn't want to push my luck. But overall, that's my only interaction with police. I've gotten close a couple times, entering in complexes, and they're driving by. Nothing has come of it. I have been caught by security about maybe really good caught by security twice, but spotted about probably 7-8 times or so. I had one interaction with a guy in the back of REI. He was an old codger white guy, and he was pretty grumpy. He let me take a ski pole though, so that was cool, but then I went back and I grabbed everything. So if you're watching this, old codger, sorry about that. Tricked you, and I went back and I grabbed everything. All right, so actually it was another night. It was like 2 nights later, or like a day and a half later. This was a question I actually wanted to answer, and I'm glad someone asked this. This is by Alex, and I'm sorry, I probably won't be able to pronounce your name, so I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to botch it. My name is German, so it's kind of hard to pronounce as well, but this question is by Alex. What was the one moment that sparked your interest in dumpster diving? Great question. Okay, so I have 2 moments that come to mind. One is how I got started when I was a kid. So first off, my parents, and God bless them, they let me hustle at a young age. Now you're like, what does that mean? And you're not even going into the question. Well, I have to back it up a little bit to get into the question. My parents weren't scared to allow me to hustle. Okay, I was born in the 80s, early 80s, and I was hustling in the late 80s, early 90s. And what do you mean by that, Chris? My mom would do crafts projects with us kids, all right? I have an older brother, 2 years older than me, and we would go to the craft store, like Michael's or whatever, and we would get like pots, and then we would get like these little styrofoam inserts, and we would even paint the pots, and then we would take the 6-pack cans of Coca-Cola, the little plastic thing that wraps each can, right? Coca-Cola, right? So we would of course drink the Coca-Cola, take the little plastic thing off, or even go to the beach and take those out of the trash can so the seagulls wouldn't get their heads attached to them. So we would take that, and my mom actually showed us how to, and maybe I'll make a video for this for my other channel, Tips and Tricks. So you would fold the plastic 6-pack can thingy in like a special design. You would stab it through a skewer, like a regular food skewer. We would paint the plastic thing, and it would actually make it look like this flower thing, and then we jam it in this little styrofoam thing that's made for this kind of a project, and then it would be like literally like a plastic flower pot, and it was kind of cool. So we went door to door for the neighbors we knew, and we tried to sell them for $5. We got a couple neighbors that are like, oh, sweet kids, sure, I'll buy them up for you for $5. They didn't say that, but now that I look as an adult, I'm like, they probably didn't want it, but they're trying to help us out. They realized the mindset and the hustle that we were trying to do, so I like people like that. Now, when I see children doing a lemonade stand, their parents, that's a lot of work for their parents. Their parents have to prepare the lemonade, they have to get the table out there, they gotta have the kids all pumped up, and you know what I'm saying, they have to be there the whole time watching the kids, and then interactions with adults to drive by or people in the neighborhood. So I commend you parents who let your kids be hustlers, go up and down the block trying to sell, because most parents these days were like, oh, don't bug our neighbors, we don't want that. No, good for you parents, and I commend you. I will definitely do that with my kids. So without drifting from that question too terribly much, let me get back into it. When we were kids, we were walking our dog, our first dog, Sammy. He was an outdoor dog. He was really shaggy, but he was so sweet. I think he was, I don't know if he was a stray or I forgot if he was a stray and we took him in. Anyway, Sammy was his name, the cutest dog ever. So anyway, we were taking him on a walk around the neighborhood, right? And again, this is a blue collar neighborhood, a lot of just regular, awesome people, no ritzy people, you know what I'm saying? And nothing wrong with ritzy people, but it's just a different motif. I was born and raised in a different neighborhood than neighborhoods that are literally across the street from right now, okay? I'm not putting the rich down, I'm not putting the man down or anything like that. It's just a different layout. It's just, it's A's and B's, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, guys, so we were walking our dog around the neighborhood and we come up to this can, and again, this is we were walking the dog on trash day, right? And we spot this like cardboard box, and it was sticking out of the top, and it looked like electronics, right? So my dad is like the definition of a hustler. He was doing garage selling back before it was a thing, and he was letting us have garage sales as kids. So he instilled with us the value of $1, and even later down the road, guys, when they were more financially set than when we were kids, he still loves garage selling. To this day, he garage sales. When he's out in Colorado, he takes time and he goes garage selling with my brother and his wife. It's awesome. He loves it. I'm not really much of a garage seller because you have to get up so early for the deals. I'm more of like an afternoon, like cruise by, see if they're giving anything away by that time. Anyway, each their own, guys. Oh, wait, no, we haven't even answered the question yet. Hold on. This is the longest drawn out answer I've ever given you. Okay, so, but I gotta give you a little backstory on my life too, you know? So what was the original question? The question was, what was the one moment that sparked your interest in dumpster diving? Oh, that's right. So anyway, back to where we're walking down the street. Got my dog, my brother and I, my mom and my dad, my dog, we're walking down and we see the can with the box with it sticking out of the top. And again, that's what I was talking about, my dad. So my dad's interest sparks. I think he sees it first and we go cruise over to it because his eyes are always peering like mine. That's where I get it from. It's genetics, baby. So we go over and we take a look, and inside of the box that's literally sitting on top of the cans, I think the lid was closed, and then I think this was sitting on top, or it was like back in like the late 80s, so it might have been, or early 90s, I'm not exactly sure. It might have been the normal cans where you got to go buy them at Home Depot, and they're just like literally like a school trash can where you just like look inside, throw it in, you can have the big trash bag in there. Anyway, so it's sitting on top, and guess what it was, guys? It was an Atari system. An Atari system. And you kids are like, what the heck is Atari? This was, it was mind-blowing back in the day, guys. So anyway, it was an Atari system with 16 games. 16 games. Guess what we did, guys? Picked it up, put it under our arm, walked, finished our walk, went back home, immediately plugged it into our TV at the time. Now, guys, we're going to like late 80s, early 90s. We didn't have like channel changers, I think. Well, maybe you did, but we had an old school tube television that was like that thick, and it was like a small, I think it was like 24 inches. It might even have been like, yeah, maybe 24 inches, big tube TV. It had this dial on there where you pull it out to turn it on, and then to push the different channels, you had to actually go up to the TV and push channel 2, channel 4, and it had channels 2 through 13 right on the outside of it right here. And you push channels 2, 3 if you're gonna watch the VCR, I think, and then like 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, you guys get the point. Anyway, we hooked up the Atari system, boom, worked. And that was when I figured, what in the world are people doing throwing away perfectly good items instead of selling them, guys? This is what went bing, da-da-ding, which then led me into going on my bicycle around the neighborhood, collecting bottles and cans. My parents actually letting us kids, I don't know if they knew about this or not, but we used to dive behind the Old Timers bar, and it was nasty. We used to get beer bottles out of the behind the bar. This was before they started recycling, and it would it smelled like cigarettes and beer. It was disgusting, but our parents let us do it. Well, I don't even know if they knew about that one. I think we told them we were behind the Rite Aid, or at the time was Thrifty back then. 25-cent ice creams, man. Wish it was the 80s again. I'm not that old, but you know what I'm saying? I'm rocking. I used to rock the 80s, baby. All right, back to the original question. So that's one of them, and that intrigued me when I was a kid. That's the start of it. That was the start of it. An Atari system, 16 games, Excite-Bike, all that fun stuff. And this was like right around when Nintendo came out, so that's why they threw away their old Atari system. They probably bought Nintendo. I remember when Nintendo was sitting on the shelves with Duck Hunt for $99.99 at the Target. $99.99. Ah, good old days, man. Oh, and quick story. My brother was in the neighborhood, found an old Nintendo system with Duck Hunt, a ton of games. He actually played it again, felt like a kid again. Awesome. So, part number 2, guys. My wife and I get married. We move into an apartment, our first apartment together, because we got married and then moved in together. I was hunting around one evening. I think I was riding my scooter around, or I was walking around for cool down after the gym. Now, I had seen a couple things before, but we had just furnished our entire place with all this beautiful IKEA stuff. Pretty much everything you see back here we had at our first apartment. So we had this IKEA thing here, this IKEA lamp, our couch here, which was not IKEA, but then these chairs I think actually came later. But this table. So anyway, our families, her side of the family, my side of the family, we were all blessed with wedding gifts, and we bought this really nice furniture brand new. So I used to come home from a late night transportation because I was a chauffeur driver. I used to come home and I used to park outside of the garage, and I would like walk by these dumpsters while I'm walking to my apartment. And one time I saw a DLP TV, and like just back then it wasn't like, oh, I could flip this for money. It was more like, do I need this? No, I don't need this. I left it, right? The DLP TV. But then another time I was actually cruising around and I saw a box which looked like some software in it, right? And I think there was like some older stuff there too, some old lamps, nothing that really sparked my interest too much. But I took the box of software, and one of them was like Windows something or other. It was like genuine Microsoft products, right? And literally within a couple days, I flipped it on eBay for $60 profit. And I was like, wait a second. I was like, I just literally found this next to the dumpster, and now I got $60 in my PayPal account. Okay, this is interesting, right? Spark number 2. Then I started going around my complex, which was in a ritzier area, right? And I started looking in, and that's where Trash to Treasure developed, and that's where Mr. Sleeps, aka Mr. Bedbugs, Mr. aka I have 100 kids, he started diving at his complex, telling me he just found computer screens, all this other stuff, and I'm like, wait a second, if it's happening there and it's happening here, it's probably happening at other complexes around the general area, because he only lived about 10 minutes from me. So that's when I started doing my route, right? All around the city where I lived in, and that's how Trash to Treasure started. Boom! Awesome. And I still do it. That was like 4 years ago. So, next question. This video is going to get pretty long, so we're only going to go a couple more questions, guys. Let's see that. I think that's just a comment there. All right, great question. So, when you're out diving, don't you think someone's going to see you and say, hey man, that's my trash? Now, normally when you're at apartment complexes or condominium complexes, no one really catches you a weird vibe unless it's like really late like I am. And then if someone sees you, it kind of throws up a red flag because you're out so late. But as long as you got to be knowledgeable on what's going on. So if I'm cruising up to a complex and I see a garage door open and then there's like lights on in like an apartment up there, let's say, and where if I pull up and they look out the window, they might think that I'm stealing out of the garage that's open right next to the can. So what I'll do in that case, I'll cruise by, I'll look a little bit. If it's worth getting out, I'll double back around somewhere else and then walk up to the cans and to be a little bit more sneaky about it. Not sneaky about it, but not park up right next to the garage so they think that I'm taking anything. Obviously, if you ever stopped, obviously you never took anything. So, but it just, you want to be chill because again, I'm going to the same complexes like 2 times a week. So I want to be very chill to the residents living there. I don't want to make a lot of noise. I want to be clean about it because I don't want to be shooed out, and I don't want to, plus I don't even live there. So I want to be respectful. But in most cases, I don't dumpster dive actual people's physical trash. I do go out in my neighborhood occasionally, and if I do grab something, it's just a quick grab, but not if like the person's out. If the person's out and it's something really cool, guess what? You hop out of the car and you're like, hey man, is this up for grabs? Just be really cool, really friendly. Don't be shady. You might have to take off your backwards ball cap, you know, and stuff like that, but just be appropriate. But no, I'm never really scared about people seeing me. You just get in, get out out, you know, flash your flashlight if someone spots you. You know what I'm saying? Don't stare, don't look creepy. Just get back in your car, drive off. And if it's really something really, really cool, you could always come back maybe later on after you're done with your hunt. Come back to that complex when they've gone to bed. All right, next up is going to be one by, and I'm sorry guys, that last question was by Lights Out Gaming. Asked that question. All right, so now we're going to go down to, okay, here's a great question. Okay, I think we have two more in us, guys. We're going to go with Catherine Hogue. And what state do you dive? And do you think some states have better opportunities based on stores they have? I really enjoy your videos. Well, thank you very much for watching the videos. I really appreciate you guys. Any encouragement, any positive comments always help my heart. Again, there are some haters that just throw some stuff out there occasionally. If you're going to make YouTube videos, if you're going to be in a public platform, expect that. So the positive and comments like this, I really enjoy your videos. That definitely keeps me going and keeps me positive, and I appreciate you. So let's go ahead and answer that question. What state? Obviously, I never like to tell exactly the location I am in because these are places that I dive continually and footage for the show as well. So I don't like to actually state exactly where I am, but I am in the state of California, and I'll give you a little hint. I'm in the lower half of California. And yes, I absolutely do think that some states have better opportunities. Now, of course, where I went with my father and my mom and my wife, we went out to his high school reunion in a small town in Missouri, Marshall, Missouri. Now, your opportunities in a small town of Marshall, Missouri is very, very small. Now, they still have strip malls, they still have the Walmart, but the Walmart probably has a compactor, etc. They might have a GameStop. So, I mean, there's opportunities even in small towns. But where I am, literally, I can drive 15 minutes that way, or this way, and I probably have 2 of every store in that amount, right? So there's Staples, GameStops that way, Staples, GameStops that way, Best Buys that way, Apple stores. There's probably 4 Apple stores around me, right around this general area right here, guys. So where I am, especially in the cities where I dive and where I got my start diving, I'm gonna call it just the people living there clientele, right? So the clientele are paying a lot of money, and a lot of them are here on temporary visas, work visas. They're here for school, and so they're in and out, right? They don't live here permanently. They're not from here, so they come in and then they leave after their schooling is done, after their work is done, come in for different projects, consulting work, etc. Now, I have heard this a lot from other people. This is all over the country, but where if you live next to a college that has a lot of foreigners that come in for school, you definitely want to dive around those areas. The best way I can tell you guys, if you guys are missing out and not finding good locations at retail complexes, definitely try high-end apartment complexes, okay? So now what do I mean by that? Well, I mean like people that pay higher rent and complexes that have literally like 400 to 500 units, right? It's all a numbers game. More units, more trash, more people moving in, moving out, more IKEA furniture you're gonna find. We have an IKEA probably from right here, probably like a 25-minute drive that direction. So we get a lot of IKEA stuff around this general area, and the clientele that moves in and out of this location loves IKEA, so they build it, cheap furniture, good furniture, and then they just, you know, huck it because they can't take it with them. But in regards to better opportunities, yes. Now, I have actually watched some dumpster diving videos from people out in Texas, and Texas, they seem to never have compactors from the videos that I watch. All the GameStops are open game, all the Hastings stores are open game, and so different states obviously are different. You just kind of have to find that clientele. Now, there are a lot of compactors where I am, but there are also a lot of non-compactors where I am. So if you don't really feel like doing the retail thing with security and potential police and being behind buildings like GameStop, then do apartment complexes on the weekends, and you will definitely find stuff on Saturday afternoon evenings, Sunday afternoon evenings, and like Wednesday nights. Those are my times to dive. All right, guys, last question, because this is going to be way too long Q&A, and I was trying to make it short, but I like drawn out answers, give you a little backstory, personal and diving. So last question is going to be by Chris Birch, and this one is going to be, being that it's so late when you dive, do you worry about your safety? Do you have an emergency escape routes planned before you start diving? Well, I have back when I was a full-time chauffeur, I would come home from the airport and I would dive some GameStops along the way before I got home. Those areas weren't the best in some of those areas, and so you had to be a little careful, but I only did it like once or twice. One time, as I was flashing a flashlight inside the cans, here comes a guy coming out of the cans. That was a little freaky, so you definitely have to be careful about some of the areas you're in. Now, again, where I dive, it's ritzier area, and I'm more worried about the police and security. Again, totally legal, but you know, I just don't want to be shoot off than I am of anything else. Now, I'm probably the one scaring other people in that circumstance, so no, I don't really worry about that. But in regards to emergency escape routes and safety when I'm diving, even though I am in a ritzier area, always have your eyeballs scanned, okay? The other night, I was in a new area where I was paying my car payment, and this is on the vlog, and over my shoulder, I hear something, and then as I'm pulling out after making my car payment, I see this guy in all black, and he's walking just in the middle of the road, and I'm like, what? What's this guy? Always be looking. He might have been another diver, who knows? It might have just been walking around the complexes looking for some stuff, but always have your eyeballs scanned. When you pull in a complex, look for people inside cars, and as you're pulling up to the cans, definitely look around. Make sure that you just have your street smarts on you, right? If you're in a neighborhood you probably shouldn't get out of the car at 2 o'clock in the morning. So what I do in regards to being safe as always, I pull in, especially around the back of complexes, I pull in, number one, I'm scanning the front portion of the parking lots for security, and then what I do is I drive by the back of it first, and then the road that leads to the back, I look both ways, make sure there's no security, no weird trucks or anything like that, no weirdos lurking back there on bicycles or anything like that, and then I go up and I go back down, turn around, go back in. Now, I was diving Vitamin Shop in a different city the other night, and as I pulled up, my eyeballs weren't scanning appropriately. I just pulled up, but as I got out to look in the dumpster, I noticed a couple, I think they were kind of some people that are into the substance abuse, and I won't go too much into that, but they were about 50 feet away from me by their beach cruiser, and they were probably just hanging out, so you gotta be a little careful of that. So I don't really dive in those areas. I tend to stick around where I live, 15-minute radius right here in the safer area right here. So if you're worried about safety, don't dive in those areas and drive 15-20 minutes out of your way to the ritzier areas, and you'll be a lot safer over there. But I do take kickboxing classes, which I'm going to in about a half an hour, so if anyone did approach me, as long as they don't have a gun, if they have a knife, I might try. I mean, if they're holding me up, I'm not going to deal with, you know, I don't really carry cash on me. I'll give them my wallet, I'll give them my cell phone. Once they turn their back, I might karate chop them in the back of the neck. They'll get knocked out, and then I'll take my stuff back. But if I'm feeling threatened, I will give up everything I own. They can take the car. Everything's insured. Everything's good to go. The only thing I wouldn't give up, obviously, is safety of my wife. I would protect her, and I would karate chop the dude in half if he tried to do anything to my wife if she's in the car with me. Mostly I dive alone late at night, though, so no worries about that. But my kickboxing instructor is an ex-MMA fighter, and he is actually dating a famous UFC fighter. I won't go too much into that to protect his identity and all that fun stuff, but he trains me good, and I really enjoy his classes. Okay, last one, guys. I have to answer it. I'm so sorry about this because this is going to run like a half an hour Q&A. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it and watching it through. What's the craziest thing you found while diving? Have you ever found a weapon firearm? My brother back in the day found a gun. It was a BB gun on the side of the road. Most likely it was ditched when somebody was pulling somebody over. They probably threw it out the window. It was just a BB gun, but I think we actually kept it and used it, and so that was really cool. We grew up with firearm safety, and so my parents allowed us to keep the BB gun. Of course, my dad immediately took it out of my brother's hands after my brother's waving it around going, "Look what I found! Look what I found!" Well, this was when we were kids. My dad's like, "You aim that to the ground and you walk that carefully over to me. Let me take a look at that." And I don't know why we, maybe, did we turn it into the police department? I forgot. It was just a BB gun, so we didn't, obviously, it wasn't in an armed robbery or anything like that, so maybe we didn't turn it in. Not exactly sure. This is, again, late 80s, early 90s. So in regards to a firearm or weapon, that was probably it, but again, that wasn't in the dumpster. But the craziest thing that I've probably found is, oh, I don't even even remember what episode it was. Check season 3 or season 4, and it was a safe. There was a safe sitting on the bottom of the dumpster, and I pulled it out, took it home, drilled the lock off of it. It was digital and a key. Drilled through the key lock, opened it up, found some weird passports, weird IDs from like different people, a bunch of credit cards. So I think there was something shady going on there. So what I did in that circumstance, pulled everything out that was shady. I think I might have used gloves to protect my fingerprints just in case it was, you know, fraudulent stuff and they needed to solve a case. Put it in a manila envelope, everything that was in there, kept the safe, still works, just not the key portion, but the digital portion, still in my room right now. And I dumped it all into a manila envelope, sealed it, put on the front of the manila envelope, hand to police, found in trash, put it in a mailbox location, and it's a federal mailbox, so they're gonna turn it into the police. Didn't want to turn it in myself and have all these weird, where'd you find it, what were you doing there, etc. Easier for me to drop it off at the post office. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate you guys asking the questions, and I will be picking a winner, and so under your comment, I will go ahead and say if you're the winner or not. Hopefully you guys get back to me because it has been a couple months, but most likely I will try to private message you and also comment under your comment, and hopefully you guys will get back to me, and then I'll let you know. You can send me your address through the email that I'll give you under private messages. I think we can do all of that through YouTube. I've done it before and we'll do it again. If you guys enjoy this, we'll be doing this much more in the future. Not like all that often, but definitely every once in a while. And I would like to, if you guys want to, I would like to get into more personal if you guys want to do that. Stuff about my wife and I or anything like that. I know dumpster diving is so intriguing, but if you ever want to ask any questions outside of the dumpster diving realm and want to answer any questions about personal life or all that fun stuff, I would be more than happy to answer those questions. So, I will see you guys on the next one. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for watching, and if you did dig it, hit that thumbs up button. That'd be much appreciative. Later.
Nice. I got high, dude. I got really high. Sick. Wow. Please tell me we got that. Hi, mate. What up, brother? Hi, mate. Matty. All right, baby. Let's grip it and rip it. Hey, wiggle. 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 Woo! Matty. Matty. Hi, mate. Ready for this drop? Ready for this? Oh! Yeah! Oh! Woo! 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 Yeah! Woo! Woo! Yeah!